charming day it's been, Miss Fairfax.
Pray don't talk to me about the weather, Mr. Worthing. Anytime anyone talks to me about the weather, I'm quite certain they mean something else, and it makes me so nervous.
I do mean something else.
I thought so. In fact, I am never wrong.
And I would like to take advantage of Lady Bracknell's temporary absence.
I would certainly advise you to do so. Mamma has a way of coming suddenly back into a room that I have often had to speak to her about.
Miss Fairfax, ever since I met you, I've admired you more than any other girl I ever met since I met you.
Yes, I'm quite well aware of the fact, but I wish that in public at any rate you've been a bit more demonstrative. Mr. Worthing, for me you've always held a certain fascination. Even before I met you, I was far from indifferent to you. We live, as I hope you know, Mr. Worthing, in an age of ideals, and my ideal has always been to marry a man of the name Earnest. There's something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. When Algernon first told me he had a friend named Earnest, I knew he was destined to love you.
Do you really love me, Gwendolen?
Passionately.
Darling, you don't know how happy you've made me.
My own Earnest.
But do you really mean to say that you couldn't love me, even if my name weren't Earnest?
But your name is Earnest.
Yes, I know it is, but supposing it was something else. Personally, darling, to speak quite candidly, I don't much care for the name Earnest. I don't think it suits me at all.
It suits you perfectly. It's a divine name. It has music of its own. It produces vibrations.
But what if it was something else? I think Jack, for instance, a charming name.
Jack. No, there is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all. It produces no vibrations, it does not thrill. I have known many Jacksons in my life, and they were all more than usually plain. Besides, Jack's a notorious domesticity for the name John, and I pity any woman who is married to a man of the name John. The only really safe name is Earnest.
Gwendolen, I must get christened at once. I mean, we must get married at once. There's no time to be lost.
Married, Mr. Worthing?
Well, certainly. You know that I love you, and you have led me to believe, Miss Fairfax, that you were not absolutely indifferent.
I adore you, but you haven't proposed to me yet. The subject has not even been touched on.
Well, may I propose to you now?
I would certainly advise you to do so, and to save you from any possible disappointment, Mr. Worthing, I think it only fair to tell you beforehand that I am fully determined to accept you.
Gwendolen.
Yes, Mr. Worthing, what have you got to say to me?
You know what I've got to say to
But
you.
you don't say it.
Gwendolen, will you marry me?
Of course I will, darling. How long have you been about it? It appears to me that you have had very little experience in proposing.
My own one. I've never loved anyone in the world but you.
Yes, but men propose for practice. My brother Gerald does all the time. All my girlfriends tell me so. What wonderfully blue eyes you have, Earnest. They're quite blue. I hope you will always look at me just like that, especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthing! I suffer from this semi-recumbent posture. It is most indecorous.
Mamma, I must beg you to retire. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing has not quite finished yet.
Finished what, may I ask?
I am engaged to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Pardon me. You are not engaged to anyone. When you do become engaged to someone, I or your father, should his health permit him, will inform you of that matter. An engagement should come on a young girl as a surprise. Pleasant or unpleasant as it may be, it is hardly a matter that she can arrange for herself. And now, Mr. Worthing, I have a few questions to put to you. While I'm making these inquiries, you, Gwendolen, will wait for me below in the carriage.
Mamma,